We must make America respected again. We must make America truly wealthy again.
Perhaps you still remember these words from Trump. It truly touched the hearts of millions of Americans with the hope of a prosperous future returning, where every citizen has the opportunity to rise up. They voted for Trump to return to the White House. But now what?
Worried about an unelected billionaire with unchecked power moving our country in the wrong direction.
Well, I think Trump and Musk are basically purging the government of anyone who disagrees with them.
A wave of protests is sweeping across the United States. People gather, chanting in unison. Banners with mocking slogans and images appear everywhere. From New York to Los Angeles, from San Francisco to Chicago, cities that were once cultural, financial, and technological hubs are now facing rising crime rates, business closures, residents leaving one by one, and a government system that cannot keep up with the changes. Many people regret their own vote. In today's video, we will show you 10 cities in the US are facing the fastest risk of collapse if the wave of protests, discontent, and social unrest continues to spread. And you know what? One of those cities might just be where you live. A note. This video is made for the purpose of exploration and analysis based on public data sources and press articles. All content is intended for informational purposes and does not aim to attack any individual or organization. And now, let's start with the first state on this list. Earlier this week, hundreds of people marched in San Francisco, just one of many protests happening across the United States recently. Many people said this protest was even larger than the one 2 weeks ago. All the messages are directed at the policies of the Trump administration. A protester expressed,
"It's awesome to see fellow San Franciscans, making a statement. We are sick of it. They're stealing our democracy. It's messed up."
And for many elderly people in San Francisco, this is not the first time they have taken to the streets to express their voices. A man who participated in protests in Berkeley in the 60s in 1968 shared,
"And I'm so glad to see young people and everyone out here carrying the same banners and making a stand for the same principles."
Since 2020, San Francisco has continuously become the focal point of protests related to housing equity, homelessness, and most recently, groups opposing Elon Musk, big tech, and the city government. And according to many experts, if the protests continue, it is highly likely that many residents will have to leave because they do not feel safe in the place where they were born and raised. It is estimated that from 2020 to now, San Francisco has lost more than 65,000 residents. The situation of petty crime, theft, and robbery has increased by more than 30% in some central areas. Some retail chains like Walgreens, Whole Foods, Nordstrom, Banana Republic are closing down en masse because they can't control security. And although rental prices have decreased, it is not for positive reasons, but because people no longer want to stay. Many areas have become deserted, and the police seem unwilling to intervene. As for the residents, they are closing their shops and moving elsewhere. What about those who remain? Many people find themselves unemployed, with salaries not keeping up with the high cost of living. With no other choice, they are forced to leave their homes and add their names to the city's ever-growing list of homeless individuals. Many people who once had stable jobs are now among those waiting in line for food assistance. Perhaps in the near future, this city needs to consider additional regulations to ensure safety for businesses and individuals, creating a more attractive environment to retain talent and large corporations. At the same time, there should be affordable housing support and social services to help those in difficulty have the opportunity to re-enter the labor market. San Francisco used to be the city of opportunity, where the poor could succeed, where the American dream still lived. But today, as protests are happening with increasing frequency, many residents are wondering, is opportunity still here, or has it left with the U-Haul trucks that depart the city every day? This has been a familiar sight in New York for the past few days. The crowds spill into every nook and cranny of the streets. They carried signs, banners, and shouted in unison. The voices of protest rang out strongly, expressing deep concern about the future of America. A protester stated,
"And everyone in this country has the right to due process, no matter what."
The frequency of protests in New York City has significantly increased recently. The once bustling and lively streets have now given way to protests against the Trump administration and his close associate Elon Musk. Many people did not choose to protest, but they chose to leave. According to US Census data, in just the past 2 years, more than 500,000 people have left New York. The crime rate has increased the most in the past 20 years. New York has really changed a lot since Trump took office. Just walk through Times Square or take a stroll around Midtown Manhattan, and you'll immediately notice the stark changes. Tall buildings with for lease signs are appearing more and more frequently. The financial corporations that once considered New York their home are no longer as fond of this city. Many other companies have relocated their headquarters or expanded their offices to states with more tax-friendly policies like Florida or Texas. Homelessness is also an alarming issue for New York, if you think only the poor are affected. Now, not only the poor, but also those who once worked in the technology and finance sectors find themselves in this situation. Just overnight, they lost their jobs due to the massive layoffs initiated by Trump and Musk.
I am one of the thousands of federal workers that was laid off. I feel like this stings especially hard.
Not only the economy, but also the increasing crime rate has become a nightmare. New York City currently has the highest crime rate in the past 20 years. People no longer feel safe using the subway, which was once the city's lifeline, but has now become a place where a series of risky incidents occur. New York used to be the city that never sleeps. But today, what keeps it awake are the sounds of police sirens, protests, and the fear of insecurity. And if a city that was once the cultural, financial, and media center of the world can also fall into chaos and mass migration, then we must ask, does the American dream still exist? As you can see, this is a video recording of the largest protest in Chicago since Donald Trump took office as president. A crowd spilled out across Daley Plaza and filled the streets of downtown. They chanted in unison, "Hands off, hands off." Many protesters said,
I haven't seen a demonstration this big in Chicago ever.
Like oceans of people.
But it looks like this entire square is full.
Most of them are here to express their dissatisfaction with certain policies such as government downsizing, dismantling many federal agencies, deporting immigrants, imposing tariffs on international goods, and many other controversial policies. This is just one of over 1,200 protests taking place nationwide. In Chicago alone, Daley Plaza was packed with people. What has turned Chicago, once the pride of the Midwest, a hub of transportation, industry, and traditional American labor, into the center of such large-scale protests? Chicago has the highest crime rate in the United States. Many local residents feel unsafe whenever they go out after 7 p.m. Tourists no longer prioritize Chicago for vacations as they used to. In the central areas, more and more shops are closing, and the number of homeless people is alarmingly increasing. But what makes many people feel unprotected are the policies. When criminals are arrested, they are easily released shortly after due to the no cash bail policy. Meanwhile, the police force is always overwhelmed and underfunded. This has caused many residents to gradually lose faith in the security system of the city and the entire state. Tens of thousands of people leave the city each year, especially African Americans and middle-class white people. Many students have to take long detours to avoid unsafe neighborhoods, and parents are afraid to let their children go to school alone. Chicago used to be a place where people came to work and hope. Now, it has become a place where many people leave behind in search of peace. And if the city of the working class teachers, those who once believed they were contributing to building America, also falls into crisis, is there anywhere left where the American dream can endure? In the memory of many Americans, Portland is seen as a symbol of progressive yet peaceful America. A place where people come to slow down, enjoy nature, and raise their children in a safe, friendly environment. In the 90s and early 2000s, retirees, young families, and intellectuals flocked here because Portland was once ranked as one of the top 5 most livable cities in the United States. But today, the name Portland is back in the news for a completely different reason. Protests that never end. Homelessness is on the rise, and trust is gradually disappearing. Last weekend, thousands of people took to the streets in downtown Portland and Vancouver this afternoon, participating in a large-scale protest. Most of the participants in the protest were concerned with the hottest issues currently, such as the mass deportation of immigrants, the firing of thousands of government employees, and the closure of many government agencies. Due to the large scale of the protest, the Portland police had to block many central streets, where the march began and ended. At Pioneer Courthouse Square, a participant shared, "I truly appreciate the opportunity to contribute to society in such a practical way alongside everyone." Similar protests are also taking place in front of Tesla's showroom, the brand of Elon Musk. They are even preparing plans for another large protest on the upcoming International Workers' Day. What has caused the people of Portland to take to the streets? Perhaps because the people have not seen any changes in the city since the White House got a new but old owner. According to a report from Multnomah County, the homelessness rate has increased by more than 50% since 2019. Although the city government has spent over $2 billion to address the homelessness issue, the situation has not improved at all. Many support policies have been implemented, but without accompanying reintegration programs, the homelessness situation continues to worsen. Small and medium-sized enterprises are withdrawing from the city center due to security concerns. Many stores like Target, REI, and Starbucks, which had been long-standing, also permanently closed a series of branches in Portland by the end of 2023. People are moving to neighboring states like Idaho and Arizona to escape violence, housing costs, and instability. Portland used to be the pride of Oregon, but today it is losing itself. From a city of creativity and innovation, it is gradually becoming a place where people no longer feel safe and businesses cannot survive. Many residents here are asking themselves whether Portland can rise from the crisis, or if it will continue to slide down the path of decline. Seattle, home of Amazon, Microsoft, Starbucks, was once admired for its wonderful blend of nature, technology, and modern living. Many middle-aged people once dreamed of a small house near Union Lake, foggy yet peaceful mornings, kind and gentle residents, and a culture friendly to both people and the environment. But today, those dreamlike scenes are gradually disappearing due to an unwelcome reality. Those are the protests happening all over the city. Since 2020, large and small protests have erupted almost continuously. People took to the streets to express their reactions to the city's policies on supporting the homeless and addressing the housing crisis. Seattle is one of the cities with the highest housing and rental prices in the United States. Many residents cannot stay because the prices have far exceeded their income. The homelessness situation has sharply increased, especially in areas like Ballard, Capitol Hill, and Pioneer Square. Small businesses, bookstores, and independent cafes can no longer withstand the costs and petty theft. They are leaving, and more than 10,000 employees at major tech companies have been laid off in just the past 18 months. Seattle used to be a dream, a city not for its glittering lights, but for the belief that here, people live true to their values. But now, when those values are being challenged by ambition and instability, many citizens are asking, who are we building this city for, and at what cost? If there is a place in America that clearly shows the intensity of the protests right now, it would probably be Los Angeles. Protests with the participation of thousands of people are taking place in every corner of the city. Hundreds of protesters gathered in front of Los Angeles City Hall, chanting slogans, "We need peace and freedom," "Zrania billionaires," "We don't need them," "We don't need them." Protesters believe that President Trump and wealthy members of his administration, such as billionaire Elon Musk, are affecting the working class and impacting democratic policies. One of the highlighted issues is immigration, as the Trump administration continues to intensify the deportation of undocumented immigrants. A protester of Mexican descent shared, "I am of Mexican descent." This illegal deportation directly affects me and my family. Like the sign she is holding, everyone deserves a fair trial. Similar protests are also taking place across the country, and in Los Angeles, it is stronger than anywhere else. This somewhat reflects the discomforts of each resident here. Los Angeles still has many issues that make it difficult for them to live. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in LA is currently over $2,600 per month. And if they can't afford to pay, they might join the Skid Row community. The area currently has more than 10,000 homeless people living there, most of whom were once wage earners. Incidents on the subway and shoplifting are increasing, especially in the Venice, downtown, and South Central areas. Many mid-range stores are pulling out due to safety concerns, making way for luxury goods or vacant spaces. Los Angeles once showed the world the definition of the dream, but now its people are having to dream of very basic things: a hot meal, a safe place to sleep, a city without disorder. And if the place that once built the dream industry is now struggling with social unrest, is there anywhere more peaceful? Philadelphia is where the Declaration of Independence was signed. It is where George Washington took the oath of allegiance to the Constitution. For many generations of Americans, this is not just a city, but the historical heart of modern democracy. But today, just a few steps away from the Old Town, you step into a completely different city. A place where crime and poverty are no longer temporary issues, but have become everyday realities. Recently, protests have been continuously occurring throughout the city. Last weekend, more than 1,000 people gathered in the Old City area, Philadelphia, to protest against President Donald Trump and his administration. The protest was part of a series of events called National Day of Action, aimed at opposing the White House's policies. Protesters in Philadelphia are concerned because federally funded programs are being cut, workers are losing their jobs, immigrant families are being affected, and the future of the country is full of uncertainty. The protesters argue that the scale of the crowd participating in the demonstrations is evidence that more and more people are worried about the country's future, and they no longer want to remain silent. One person emphasized, "You are either part of the solution or part of the problem." According to the US Census, Philadelphia is one of the cities with the highest poverty rates among major cities in the US. Neighborhoods, like Kensington and North Philly, have become places where no one dares to step foot due to rampant illegal activities. The middle class, the very class that once built it, are leaving, replaced by a vortex of poverty, crime, instability, and endless protests. Philadelphia is the cradle of freedom, but freedom is now silently disappearing. If the teachers, nurses, workers, and students in Philadelphia no longer believe in the system, then what still binds us to a society that is itself shaking at its very foundation? Atlanta was once called the unofficial capital of the New South, where the rise of the African American community was hailed as a testament to societal progress. But precisely because it is the center of many currents, Atlanta has also become the focal point of increasingly widespread protests. Housing prices in Atlanta have increased by more than 60% from 2015 to 2023, according to Redfin. More than one-third of renters in Atlanta are spending over 50% of their income just on housing. Original neighborhoods like Old Fourth Ward, Sweet Auburn, are being redeveloped, pushing out the original residents. A resident who once worked at the Atlanta Public Library. "I used to believe that Atlanta was a place where I could live my whole life. I served the community, paid taxes, raised my children. But now I have to move out because the rent has doubled. I can't believe that I, someone who has followed the law all my life, have to choose between food and shelter." Atlanta was once expected to become a new model for a multicultural, progressive, and inclusive America. But today, that very place is being affected by prices and community unrest. Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States, was once seen as the heart of global freedom and democracy. For those who are middle-aged or older, DC was a place where students eagerly visited the White House, the Supreme Court, and Capitol Hill, where power came with responsibility and where American values were shaped. But today, the people's trust in the system may no longer exist. The crime rate is rapidly increasing in the East and Northeast DC neighborhoods where Black residents live. The average rent exceeds $2,700 per month, while the wages of civil servants and service workers have not kept pace. Small businesses are withdrawing from the center, making way for federal agencies, foreign investors, or leaving vacant. Many longtime residents are leaving DC in search of more livable spaces, especially in Virginia or Maryland. Washington, D.C. was once the pride of America, and if even the political, legal, and symbolic center of the nation cannot make the people feel safe, represented, or proud, then where will the future of American democracy begin? Austin used to be a place people called Keep Austin Weird, unique, creative, artistic, and inclusive. For middle-aged Americans, Austin is a peaceful place to retire, a vibrant college town that is not chaotic, and the pride of Texas, a place that is conservative, yet exceptionally open-minded. But in the past 5 years, everything has changed at a terrifying pace. Austin is no longer the city of artists. It has become a new technology hub, dubbed Silicon Valley 2.0. The arrival of Tesla, Apple, Oracle, Google, Amazon has attracted hundreds of thousands of tech workers and investors to Austin. But what do they get in return? Local residents can no longer afford to buy houses in the city where they were born. The historic neighborhoods are being redeveloped into luxury apartment complexes. Rental prices have increased by 70% in just 3 years. Traffic congestion is severe. I-35 is likened to a huge parking lot during rush hour. Workers in the service, education, and healthcare sectors no longer have enough income to live near their workplaces. Austin used to be a place for young people to start, for the elderly to settle down, and for artists to be heard. But now, that dream is giving way to price tags, speed, and profit. If an entire city once hailed as the last ideal place in America cannot escape the whirlpool of protests, misguided development, and government silence, then what remains of the American spirit that was once tied to community, fairness, and local pride? We have just passed through 10 cities, each place with its own story, a crack, a sigh that is gradually becoming familiar. With each city, the wave of protests rises not only because of policies, but because the people feel left behind. No one is listening. Nowhere is affordable enough to live. And no city can still retain the identity that once made people proud to be attached to it. Where do you live? Is your city changing in ways you don't recognize? Have you ever thought about leaving the place you once cherished because you no longer have the strength to stay? Do you see protests as a necessary voice or a sign of a society losing its way? Leave your opinion in the comments section. We read everything and believe that you are not alone. If you find this video useful, profound, and worth sharing, please hit subscribe to join us in exploring what the media doesn't cover and listening to the voices that are not represented. And remember to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next videos. This video is created with the aim of analyzing, exploring, and reflecting on social realities based on public data, local reports, and community perspectives. We do not represent any political party or organization, do not incite agitation, and encourage constructive, multifaceted debate. Thank you for watching until the end.